Before we begin, quick shout out. Really thank you, all of you from XeroCon, from any past events that have actually come to spend the time to listen to what Deputy has to be. My name's Ron. I'm one of the APAC Partnerships Managers here at Deputy. And this webinar has been designed to make sure that from all the accountants and bookkeepers that we've, I guess, conversed with over at XeroCon in the past few events, just a funnel to sort of advise you on what our value proposition spiel looks like here at Deputy. So originally this was going to be a bit more of a product demonstration, but I guess from our experience, it's a little bit easier to start fresh. What is Deputy? What is workforce management? And where do the accountants play within our space as well? So before we start going in, I do want to raise a few housekeeping points. You are going to see a little small questions bar, I believe, on the bottom of your screen. If you guys can possibly send me a quick message just to confirm that you guys can all hear me, just send me a smiley face, send me any sort of comment. And hopefully the screen should have also changed as well into a white background. We'll make sure that that comes across as well. Perfect, smiley face is coming through. Webinar ruling 101, close apps. That may not be necessary at this point. If there's anything that might come up, say for example, Slack, I'm gonna recommend close that down just for the next 30 minutes. There isn't gonna be too much necessity. I won't take more than 30 minutes during this presentation, but it's probably the biggest killer in making sure that there's lag time or there's audio issues as well. You guys are now accustomed to the questions tab. I'm gonna say if there are any questions throughout the webinar, raise them through. I'll make sure to address them at the end of today as well. So I guess the way in the direction that this webinar was originally going to be taken was, like I said, in two different tiers. We were originally going to go through a product demonstration to show you the functionality, but I thought we might make it a little bit more elementary. We'll start off from the very fundamentals of where Deputy lies. And where that begins is as a workforce management solution. And this is the mind map that I like to always portray at any presentations to help scope out where the Deputy solution is. You are going to see that there's two components of who really leverages the system. On the left-hand side, you've got the business owners, supervisors, and managers. These are respectfully your clients. These are the guys that are actively using the system day to day. And from the solution, they're going to be able to address the issues of rostering, TNA, so on and so forth. And on the right-hand side, we've got the accountants, bookkeepers, and consultants that are able to now utilize that data to create more of a holistic picture for the clients at the end of the day, to make sure that their business is flowing from the back end as smooth as possible. So today, what we are going to do is dive into each one of these sectors a little bit deeper so that we can hopefully portray a nice image of what Deputy does. So as a starting point, look, on the left-hand side, the business owners and managers. They're obviously targeting, as a workforce management tool, the rostering. We're moving away from the whiteboards, we're moving away from the Excel spreadsheets. We want to provide a little more clarity whenever rosters are now created. We've got ways to create and publish employee schedules in minutes. So we're going to go into the fundamental logic that we now sort of provide whenever we recommend a certain staff member for a certain shift. The time and attendance, we now want to address time theft. We're no longer positioning ourselves in that reactive stance where pay run is due and employee X, Y, and Z haven't submitted timesheets. We want to create that workforce culture so that whenever employees are actively at work, they're now providing validated and clear and concise timesheets to prove that they were there. Communication, if we're now allowing for two core fundamentals such as rostering and time and attendance within a solution, we may as well make this the main funnel to announce any follow-up or updates within the business. A really clear way here is for our hospitality and retail clients, if there are any specials or unique events happening over that week or period, we can now communicate with our respective teams in a clear and concise manner. On the right-hand side of the spectrum, we've got our accountants, bookkeepers, cloud integrators. Here, because we are leveraging the data that our clients are now creating and approving, we're now able to now easier payrolls. Digital timesheets means that we're no longer having to follow up on respective employees. We're no longer dealing with bundles of paperwork at the end of the week, fortnight. We have that data consolidated for you so that you can now run your payroll. And we also have our custom award library, which has helped us win the Xero Add-on Partner of the Year this year as well. So easier payroll processes. Clear reporting. Deputy has over 35 different integrations that are actively being pushed and pulled. sporadically throughout the day. This includes HR onboarding tools, point of sales, and accounting systems. So if we can consolidate all that data, Deputy is going to be able to provide clear reporting to show how the employees or how the business can run a little bit more effectively as well. So as I mentioned, we will be jumping to some of these points. Let's just jump straight through. Fundamentally, Deputy is a mobile-first solution. We've steered clear from the concept that for a workforce management system to be built in, you require, I guess, the purchase of hardware. We want to be able to sort of create the notion so that whenever clients are starting up, supervisors are able to quickly download an app on their phone and visibly see where their employees are throughout the day. If there are any employees that are actively rostered to come into work, to work at certain departments, running late, or scheduled to work in, we want to provide that visibility at that point in time rather than being retroactive to it. If there are any tasks that the supervisor needs to now submit to their employees, say, for example, reoccurring notions or tasks that need to be completed by end of day, we can now provide those options quite clearly through the app to make sure that we can now have that information submitted through. While we now have that information at hand, we can now performance track our employees without having to consolidate all that data at the end of the pay period or end of the month. A really simple way to track how our employees are reacting to the system as well. Our second option is our optimized scheduling. We touched on the idea that we're now moving away from the CSVs and the whiteboard. And we like to sort of consider that whenever we recommend an employee to work, we're dealing with a compliance schedule. Now, what does that compliance actually imply? So within Deputy, we mentioned that we have different integrations coming through. These are what we determine as demand signals. So this can be for your hospitality and retail clients, point of sales data, or even foot traffic if need be. And this can be the fundamental in the way we want to start rostering our staff members. From our new clients, I guess the clear idea or notion of creating a roster seems almost intrinsic. They've got habits which formalize that certain employees need to work at certain times. But if we can reinvent that wheel and help understand what times people need to come in, we're not only saving the business a little bit of extra money, but we're also helping them understand where their pain points or when their busy periods throughout the day are. Whenever we recommended a staff member to work a certain shift, Deputy will automatically also do 5 quick checks. We'll make sure that firstly, under that department or area of work, number 1, that person is trained, they're qualified to work. Number 2, they're available for work. If they have extracurricular activities such as uni or say, for example, charity work, we want to make sure that there isn't going to be pushback on those days. We want to make sure that not overlapping shifts. If another management team have picked them up, we want to make sure that that's visible across the board. We want to also make sure that they're currently not on leave. If it's been approved, we want to make sure that is also visible there as well. And because all the fundamental data, when it comes down to the rosters come through, we can now use our award interpretation model to see exactly how much these shifts cost. So before XeroCon, we did a quick round of calls to some of our clients to see exactly how much they may have saved with that proactive stance. And what we could see is that because we could start leveraging our overtime variables, if we don't want employees working past a certain amount of hours in a certain week, we can now decrease our overall cost in rosters and cost in labor force. And we'd be able to gauge that there was roughly 40% wages saved throughout that client base as well. Really clear, really amazing figures that come through. Time and attendance. We saw that the supervisors as a mobile first solution can now very simply pick up their phone, see where their employees are. If we can leverage the same app and provide that to our clients' employees, it becomes an extremely efficient way to be able to track where they are at certain points of the day. Whenever they start and end their shift, we'll be expecting them to press a small button on the Deputy app on their mobile phone that says start or end shift. Whenever they start or end, we'll open up our extension with our Google Maps and Apple Maps, very simply pinning down exactly where they are when they press that button. So if you can imagine, if John Smith's coming in late to work and they're still on the train, they press that button. If they are too far away from location, then very simply a supervisor or the rostering manager will be notified that someone's doing something wrong. It addresses that notion quite quickly rather than end of the day or end of the week. If you don't want employees playing around with their phones while they're walking into work, however, this is where you might want to invest into an iPad. We do have an iPad-specific app called the Kiosk. Very simply, have that iPad mounted somewhere there where there is going to be foot traffic from your employees to come through. So if you're in a cafe or retail, it might be back of house. In our case, it might be, it's actually in our foyer. So as soon as you walk in, you will see it present. Very simply, put your 4-digit PIN in, take a photo. We're now eliminating the idea of buddy punching, and we have those timesheets validated as well. For our clients that might be scaling from that 20 to 30, 30 to 50, 50 to 100, sometimes it's not always easy to be able to review every single timesheet through. This is where facial recognition can come through. Out of the box, we've got integrations with with Amazon's recognition platform called Recognition. And very simply, if the photo doesn't match the profile picture of the employee, we are going to notify the supervisor to let them know that something strange is happening there as well. So clear and concise, consolidated timesheets. So I mentioned this at the beginning, but Deputy was actually awarded the App Partner of the Year for the APAC region this year, which is an amazing feat. And this couldn't have happened without our support from our partner network. Through the partnership network, we were able to go ahead and receive feedback on what they were looking to have in the system. And this isn't a product demonstration, but I will be able to touch on what's now being completed. There are respectively 3 steps that we have for every Xero deployment. Whenever you open up your account, very simply connect to your Xero file. From Xero, we can import your staff members directly into Deputy. You're not having to double handle some of those contact details. Their first name, last name, and emails will be synced exactly from your Xero file. Whenever they've come through, select from our over 30 different awards built in. So these are Fair Work compliant. Very simply, select the drop-down, select the award appropriate, and put in the ordinary rate associated to those staff members. Whenever those award rates are associated, this will now be the fundamentals for all calculations made, whether it's in schedules or whether it's in timesheets. Now your clients can now enjoy the system. They'll start rostering, their employees will start creating timesheets, supervisors approve, and now we're ready for payroll. Before we export, very simply select that small checkbox. You will see it as soon as you're using a Xero payroll integration. It is going to say replace Xero's base hourly rates with Deputy's base hourly rates. Once you hit export, we're no longer just pushing across blanket hours into Xero. We're now creating pay items directly under those employees as well. So if those employees were to work a certain overtime variable, or you wanted a certain allowance to come into that shift, those rules will now be put inside your Xero file so you don't have to double handle that data once again. A really clear and concise way to streamline your payroll processes, especially if that's a service offering you are looking to expand further on as well. So where does Deputy fit? As soon as we're talking about Xero, we are talking about the SME space, and that includes the corner store cafes, the retail outlets, all the way up to the gelato machines, which hold multiple Xero accounts, and even beyond. We've got enterprise-based systems such as the Compass Groups and the Qantas of the world, ranging from 3 staff members all the way up to 30. Fundamentally, everyone is using the same platform, the same code base, and they're operating on very similar workflows. So you can imagine for the SME clients with the expectations of growth, we're setting them up for success with the right habits to begin. Which industries are we suitable for? The examples I always like to give are in hospitality and retail based on the nature of those industries. You're dealing with a high casual workforce, sporadic hours, and a lot of the times you're dealing with a younger workforce which are happy to adopt new systems. But we have over 30 awards currently built in, which means that we're not limited to those 2 spaces. You've got the education space, healthcare, security, professional services. These are all industries that we can service today. Very simply, if your clients require the need for scheduling or require the need for timesheets, this is where Deputy can come into practice. It's also interesting to note that we've got over 80,000 customers in over 70 countries as well. So we are a global business. So what are Deputy and Xero customers saying about us? On the left-hand side, I've got Grant from True South Brewing Restaurant with 25 employees. In week 1, I saved 40 hours. That's $1,200 in fake timesheet data. A month later, I took advantage of Deputy's rule system to save another $1,200 each week. This is tangible and irrefutable proof of the value of this product. Reduced payroll processes from 8 hours to 45 minutes each week. So by using the fundamentals of rostering and using the data that we were able to provide, we're significantly reducing the business forecast to make sure that not only are the timesheet data accurate, but we're eliminating the concept of not knowing how much your workforce costs are going to look throughout that week. That $1,200 is amazing. And most importantly for our partners, reducing payroll process from 8 hours to 45 minutes each week. Rick Scherer from Cairns Dive with 21 employees. As a manager and implementing Deputy, it has given me back more than 20% of my day. Admin has reduced to just 6 hours a week with the Xero payroll integration. So as partners or as advisors in general, you want to find ways to reduce those admin burdens for your clients. And it's evident in Rick Scherer, from Cairns Dive, that 20% is even brought back just by having correct workflows within their business to make sure that they are set up for success. How much does Deputy cost? The Deputy pricing, it starts at $2. So the starter bundle is very simply your rostering and communication avenue. We also have a time and attendance avenue that is going to cost $3. But as soon as you want to combine the two, this is what we deem as the premium offering. It starts at $5 per month per employee or per user, or it can be paid upfront on an annual basis, calculated at $4. For the enterprise space, so for the Qantases of the world, from here, we don't like to quote directly off the bat. We do want to have a talk with you first, so get in touch. Here, we'll be able to custom build Deputy to your systems and to your workflows as well. It's also interesting to note, we've got a 30-day running trial, so jump on deputy.com and you'll be able to sort of open up an account with your details as well. So what does this mean for our attendees today? Our Deputy Partner Program. We've got 2 channels. We've got the Advocate Program, which is our introductory starting point, and we've got our Professional Service Partner Program, our PSP program, that follows there as well. So firstly, who are our partners and what's proven to succeed? Firstly, we've got our bookkeepers, our payroll advisors, the people that are ingrained into these workflows that intimately know their clients in this space. Here, we were able to see that the bookkeepers, payroll advisors, were able to recommend systems like Deputy to their clients to not only help reduce that admin burden within their client base, but create clearer workflows to help them with their processes as well, such as payroll. Our accountants, our advisors, our consultants. Here, obviously, we've seen a lot of practices have those quarterly or monthly contracts with their clients to review their systems and see what new solutions can benefit them as well. If they were dealing with certain business trends, such as a casual workforce or even just time and attendance, solutions like Deputy were easily recommended to sort of help advance that business into that next step. Cloud integrators, our unsung heroes within our channel. These guys already have a wealth of knowledge when it comes down to external solutions. So whether it be point of sale systems or other cloud apps, here they were able to combine Deputy with their value offering to ensure that those clients had the best experience and the most integrated experience when it came down to opening shop or expanding their shops as well. So where do we begin? As a starting point, everyone within this webinar, I would recommend starting as an advocate. It's a great, simple way to get yourself up and running. It's very simply a referral platform to begin. All you need to do is evaluate your client, make sure that they might fit a certain pain point, and we'll actually do the rest. There are no obligations in terms of implementation or support. Here directly, you'll be working with myself from the partnership team, as well as our account executive team, as well as our support team to make sure that your client's account is set up uniquely, exactly as per their requirements. Very simply, we don't want to throw you in on the deep end so that that obligation is entirely yours. Once that's happened a few times, then if you're happy to take that on board, we will expand you to our PSP program, our Professional Service Partner program. Here, once again, you will be able to be an accountant, bookkeeper, cloud integrator, But most importantly, you'll be required to implement, train, and provide that ongoing support to your client. So it's nothing new of a different partner program, but it's something that you can bring in-house to provide as a service offering directly to your clients with your own name there as well. So where do we begin? For our advocates, really simply, for any clients that are more than 10 staff, we'll provide $300 as a bit of a thank you note for those clients. But we don't want to stop there. Once those payments are made, we want you to take that first step to have that conversation with your client. Understand what some of their pain points really look like. And once that's being addressed, we can start expanding onto our PSP platform. You'll deal directly with myself and our support team. We'll make sure that you are set up for success in that process. So you've got 3 different tiers under our PSP. The tier 1 is the Deputy Bronze Partner, 20% ongoing commission. If you're bringing in revenue from $1 to $2,500, you're under that platform. Tier 2, the Deputy Silver Partner, 25% ongoing, revenue 25 to 5,000. And tier 3, the Gold Partners, 30% ongoing with a revenue over 5,000. So that Gold platform is actually quite unique. Currently, right now in Australia, we do have under 10 partners hitting that status. And that includes the SMB guys, the SMB consultants, and the CI. We've also got the integration kings of the world and Prue from Triple S as well. So you work in an extremely intimate and unique place. So that leverage to be able to take those next steps is completely open for the taking. So get in touch. If you have any clients that you want to have this discussion with, I would recommend very heavily to look into our advocate program to begin. Spend the time doing the basic admin work so that we can essentially track and see how we can better improve the solution and how we can better improve the experience for you and your client as well. Our email, which you would have received this invitation from, is partners@deputy.com, contact number 1300-DEPUTY, and most of our social media handles, actually all of our social media handles, is @DeputyApp. So I know there has been a few questions raising. I do want to note we will have our account executive doing reoccurring webinars every Wednesday. I believe it's 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. For our New Zealand partners, which I know have jumped in to hear about the New Zealand integration with Deputy, that has been live for the last week. So we are doing a bit of a product demonstration in 2 weeks. I will be sending out a unique webinar for that specifically, but you should also have my contact details. I'll be happy to walk you through some of those processes if you did have more immediate questions. There are a few questions that lined up. I'll put myself on mute and read through some of these. Laura, yes, the webinar is being recorded. We will be able to pass this on after as well. I've got a question around facial recognition. Correct. So for facial recognition, as long as the iPad is mounted at a certain fixed location, so we're moving away from the idea of moving that iPad too much, employees have to go to that iPad to clock in, then yes, the facial recognition will work as long as they're clocking in under their profile. If the photo taken from the timesheet doesn't match the profile image, then the manager will be flagged and that timesheet will be flagged while you're going through your approval process. How many awards? We've got over 32 awards currently built into Deputy. This does range from hospitality industry all the way to manufacturing, and I believe there's even social healthcare. So I'll be able to pass on a link to our custom award library. And that information does integrate directly with Xero. It is our strongest integration, as well as a lot of MYOB solutions as well. So we do have that integration live. I think that's about it. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I might leave it just there. I will be following up this webinar with my details once again, as well as a link to our advocate program. If you did have any questions, feel free to just reach out to me directly, and I will be touching base with you guys just to make sure that everything is well as well. So thank you for your time, guys. Appreciate your efforts for actually taking the time out of your day to sit in this. But I'll leave you guys to it. Thanks.